What's going on, guys? I wanted to talk today about the ideas of conviction, belief, resistance, and fear. Over the last few weeks, especially, there has been sort of an upturn in what I would call resistance to belief, the resistance to sort of what we're doing in the Wolves and Operation Werewolf from the outside. Because of this resistance, we have seen people react in ways that are directly out of keeping with what they say they believe in, what they say their convictions are, and how they claim that they would deal with those situations until the time arises for them to deal with those situations. So first I want to talk a little bit about the idea that there are few things in this existence that are worth fighting and, with no irony, potentially dying for. Probably the most important of these is our beliefs, what we say our convictions are, what we say we believe in. The reason that this is probably more important than family, friends, certainly money, possessions, all these things to fight for is that our convictions, hopefully, are the product of the sum total of our experience, our careful self-examination, our entire life lived within, of comparing and contrasting the things that have happened to us and that we have engaged in and said and read and lived every day of our life. This is one of the reasons why you've heard the philosophers say the unexamined life is not worth living. The reason the unexamined life is not worth living is because someone who has not taken the time to undergo that self-examination ruthlessly and constantly throughout their life is because they don't know what they believe in. They literally have nothing to live for and nothing to die for. So our convictions being the sum total of who we are, who we say we are, what we claim our very existence is about, that is our conviction. That is our belief. This word conviction comes from the Latin word convincere, which means with conquering, the idea of what we conquer with. You hear this when they talk about criminal convictions, and what they mean is the body of evidence used to crush the defense or to overcome the prosecution. But when we talk about our beliefs, it literally means the things that we go out into the world and conquer it with. It's a very powerful concept. Now, when we look at these ideas of conviction and living and dying for things and all this, and you say, well, in order to have these convictions, if you don't have them, you will live for nothing, you will likely die for nothing, and your name will pass into nothing just like that. But if you do have them, how can you know that you have them? How can you know that a belief that you hold or that you say that you hold is held with conviction? There is only one way to know whether a belief is some thing that you choose to say, well, I like how this sounds. I like the idea of this, and so I'm going to hang on to this as one of my little things that I choose to define myself with on an ego level in the world around me. The only way to truly know if you hold a conviction is to meet with resistance. It's the same way how you only know your strength by meeting your physical strength against resistance and overcoming that resistance. This is the same in every area of our lives where we seek to constantly test ourselves. We only can test ourselves through resistance. So I want to talk a little bit about this idea of resistance and conviction. I have seen many people in bad circumstances that have happened to them through no fault of their own. I have a massive distaste and disrespect for people who I would consider to be bullies. Those people who pick on the obviously weak or infirm, the old, the disabled, the handicapped. This sort of thing fills me with an absolute disgust because these are people who are being fucked with through no fault of their own, or even through fault of their own. They're being fucked with by people who are completely out of proportion in levels of strength. And this is something that only bullies do, only people with issues here do. But there are other people that I have seen get themselves into bad circumstances, bad situations through their mouth. The things that they have claimed and what they have said they stood for and then they find themselves in a bad situation and they immediately begin looking around for help, assistance, or a way out of the situation. Oftentimes this can be heard or seen in a couple of different ways. Many of us get excited and sometimes fearful anytime a situation arises where it appears there will be a physical confrontation. The natural human inclination is to feel adrenaline or fear or exultation or some strange heady mixture of all these things, and oftentimes you'll see the hands start to shake, whatever. In these situations, should you find yourself in one, the appropriate way to handle them is to keep the bass note in your voice, to try to meet the situation eye to eye, and to tell whoever it is that is resisting your conviction with your deeds, not your words, that this conviction that you hold is not one that is going to be taken away from you, that you will use what you have to conquer the world around you, and you will accept no defeat in this situation. Too many times we see people, we see them in these resistance situations, and whether you see this happen online or you see it happen in person, you hear the bass note remove itself from their voice, both literally and figuratively. And so now instead of talking like this and handling the situation, I lose the bass note and it becomes this whiny kind of voice where I'm just looking for a way out of the situation. Fucking disgusting. It's pathetic, and I've seen it so many times happen on social media or whatever. These people who claim their convictions, the minute they meet with a modicum of resistance, there goes the bass note. And you watch them backpedal and apologize and explain and dissemble and talk about how I didn't know this, I wasn't certain of this isn't really me, blah, 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 blah. We have to be careful about what we say our beliefs are, because especially if our beliefs are unpopular in this world in which we currently find ourselves, in this age we currently find ourselves, belief has repercussion. The things that we say have consequences. The things that we claim are our convictions have consequences. We have to put our money where our mouth is, and we have to stick to our guns, fellas. There may not come a time in the next week or two where you have to deal with this kind of situation, but I guarantee you, if the convictions you hold are ones that are worth holding, they will eventually be put to the test, and you will eventually see what you're actually made of and whether these things that you have that you claim are truly convictions, or if they're nice little trappings that you can throw away when they become inconvenient to you. I also want to sort of end on a positive note by saying that through belief and through real conviction, a man can not only live a life for something, for a concept bigger than himself, but if he believes strongly enough in what he does, and I truly mean this with no sense of irony, if he truly believes in what he's doing, there is no obstacle that he cannot overcome. There is no opponent that cannot be crushed, and that through displaying true conviction, we find out who our true allies are, we find out who our true friends are, we find out who are going to quickly surrender when the going gets tough, and in this way our enemies do us a great service by flushing out these weak people from our inner circle or from our outer circle and showing us who is worth putting our faith in, who is worth putting our trust in, and who shares our conviction to the point where we will, out of our convictions and out of our beliefs, create a fire that will continue to grow and to attract other true brothers to our cause. So keep the faith. Don't apologize. Don't explain. Don't lose the bass note, literally or figuratively. And when you're met with resistance, see it just as you would see any other aspect of your training. Resistance is only there to be overcome by the strong or those who are making themselves strong. Remember, like you've heard a million times if you train martial arts, they always say, practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes habit. So all you have to do in these situations is practice overcoming, and you will become a habitual overcomer, a habitual conqueror. If you practice backing away, if you practice apologizing or walking out, you're going to get very good at being a coward.
Ganga